Well, this podcast has been brought to you by Cedar.nl, and this must you see.
Will you please listen up to what I have to say? Cause we're in for some old-fashioned wrestling today. Not the violent, oily, opposerish kind, but the kind that involves pins and thumbs you will find. Cause it's thumb wrestling time. Yes, it's thumb wrestling time. So we will discuss pros and cons, faults and pluses of all your favorite movies. And we will ponder the merits of cinema in this WrestleMania. Cause it's thumb wrestling time. Yes, it's thumb wrestling time. Yes, it's thumb wrestling time.
Hello, pot people. Wow! That's from Invasion of the Body Snatchers. You are listening to a brand new episode of Thumb Wrestling, the podcast in which two movie opinions come together and merge into one lovely conversation. This is episode 93, Rue Lauriston, episode Flight 93, episode United 93. And it's a nice and rambly one for you, because I spoke with Scottish comedian Billy Kirkwood, who, even though we sort of shared a stage together at one point, I've only met digitally. Let me explain. Together with Chris Thorburn, he does a show called Watching Bad Movies with Great Comedians. And he was to do an edition, Watching Bad Dutch Movies with Great Comedians, on the Utrecht International Comedy Festival on Thursday, March the 3rd of this year. And I was to join them. I was to be their guide through bad Dutch movies. And then I got COVID. I was still part of the show, but I had to call in via Zoom. So, still a lot of fun, but a bit surreal. I got to show them some clips, which were real crackers, like Het Beest and Amsterdam'd and Knocked Over the Schutting. And Billy and Chris just funnily ripped them to shreds. It was really cool. And we were supposed to record an episode on the festival, but obviously that couldn't go through. So Billy joined me Tuesday afterwards, the 8th, through Zoom, back from his home. So that's what you're about to listen to. And I expect that at this point you will think that I'm a huge fucking idiot because I'm about to share my gripes with the Big Lebowski. A movie that is quite far above criticism at this point, which I understand and I agree with, but you'll hear my views soon enough. It is the story about Jeffrey, the dude Lebowski, who is confused for another Jeffrey Lebowski when a couple of thugs break into his house, piss all over his carpet, and ask him, "Where is the money, Lebowski?" Because the other Jeffrey Lebowski's wife, Bunny, owes money all over town. After a particularly nasty encounter with the other Lebowski, where the dude also steals one of his carpets, Bunny Lebowski goes missing. So her husband figures, the Big Lebowski, that maybe the dude might be able to recognize the culprits if they are the same thugs as the ones who pissed over the dude's carpet. Reluctantly, the dude gets involved, gets the help from his psychotic friend Walter, has run-ins with all different kinds of weird characters. There has been a lot of dialogue that is endlessly quotable. One of the dude's friends, Donnie, has died. No one has learned anything. And they just figure, fuck it, let's go bowling. Because of personal reasons, this is maybe the least favorite film of my favorite filmmaking duo, the Coen brothers. My reasons are flimsy at best, but it gives me plenty of excuse to put my thumb down and let Billy cook and tell me about his love for this film. So let's get cracking and go into the conversation with Billy Kirkwood about the Big Lebowski. But first, this.
Show me the money.
Hey, do you like this podcast? Well, this podcast likes you too, just for listening to it. even if you're a casual listener. But if you like to be liked, you can be liked even more by donating a small monthly sum of money to us on Patreon. And if you do, you get rewards to show you how much we like you. What am I saying? How much we love you. So visit patreon.com/duimpjeworstelen and get even more warm feelings. And even if you don't, no worries. Thank you simply for listening.
3, 2, 1, fight!
Ah, man, you have a Buckaroo Banzai poster in the back. That's cool.
I actually have a Buckaroo Banzai tattoo as well. I am that guy.
What's your Buckaroo Banzai tattoo?
Oh, it's I'll just have to remember what arm it's on. Because we're flipped, aren't we? So it's just the logo. It's just the logo from the front of the bus.
All right.
Just the logo from the front of the bus. So
it's not a watermelon. So people will say to you like, "Why is there a watermelon there?"
Well, there's always room for more. There's always room for more. I think I'll have to lose some weight before I get any more tattoos on my torso, at least. Anyway, it's about the only place I've got room left.
So, do you want to get into it?
Shall we?
Yeah. Get ready for some log jamming.
Well, I am here to fix down a cable. So
I am expert.
Where am I to? Love it. Absolutely. Do you know Peter Stormare cannot be in anything without me going, there's Uli there. he can't do anything. Even when he was the devil in Constantine, it's like, there's our boy, there's one of the nihilists. Can't do anything. Bless it. He could win an Oscar and he would never be able to.
You'll just see in his Oscar reel, I will cut off your Johnson.
Do you know, for so long, me and my flatmate at the time, that was a kind of war cry to each other. He said to cut off your Johnson all the time. Anyway.
But I'll give you the opening statement. What is The Big Lebowski to you?
The Big Lebowski to me is literally one of my favorite films for lots of different reasons. First of all, I love the fact there's a little snapshot of Americana in 1991, even though realistically, if you break it down, it's just a Philip Marlowe novel. It's just a detective novel retold from the point of view of a stoner, because whatever way you break it down, this is as if the main character, Jeff Lebowski, is retelling this story to you, who spends most of his time drunk and high, which would actually explain whole elements of the entire movie. So it is literally one of my favorite films.
So your reading is very much that this is subjective movie making.
Very much so, as a lot of the Coen brothers stuff is. I mean, so I'm a big fan of their work for that reason. It's kind of like, I love the fact that it's little snapshots of Americana from different periods, but done from a slightly surreal and subjective way. And that's what The Big Lebowski is to me. I have Big Lebowski tattoos, and we've talked about this. If I like it, I tend to tattoo it on my arm. Would you like the tour? Would you like the tour before we get started?
Show me.
Okay. We'll start off with the man himself. It's going to be hard to show on this because we're on. So I'll show you. We've got the dude here.
Yeah.
I've also got my Duda. Don't know if you can see that because I'm an ordained minister of Dudeism.
Oh my God.
We've got Walter. Market Zero. We've obviously got Donnie as well. Now, where is he? Now, I've even got, I don't know if you can see him there, I've got Jesus there.
Jesus.
Now, I am aware that technically I have a sex offender on my arm, but I'm okay with it, so it seems. I'm okay with it, so it seems. And that's really it for me.
When I saw this movie for the first time,
it was at a time where I was really starting to expand my tastes in cinema. This, basically, Blues Brothers 2000 came out at the same time as this.
Yeah.
And me and my flatmate went to see The Big Lebowski instead. I'd seen Raising Arizona. I must have seen Miller's Crossing maybe at some point. Maybe my dad rented it or what have you.
Yeah.
Would I have seen much of their work? I don't think so. I hadn't seen. I forgot one of their first film, Blood Simple. Blood Simple. I hadn't seen Blood Simple.
Yeah.
And it was just kind of expanding my taste, like I say. And this hit me at the right time. Within, I don't know, 90 minutes, 2 hours, I wanted a White Russian. I didn't even know what White Russian was.
No.
I had to get.
Nobody knew.
Having to read up, what White Russian was to go get one. And that's what this film means to me. It's one of my favorites for all those reasons. Is it the greatest film ever made? Well, that's for someone else to say. Do I think it's the greatest film ever made? I can't even remotely claim that, but I like it. I like it for all those reasons. So that's what The Big Lebowski means to me.
Well, with me, it is, I would say, I think this is maybe a perfect comedy.
Yeah.
But I'll still say no thanks. And that's a very personal issue with this movie. And it
certainly.
I first got to know the Coen brothers because of Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? I saw a trailer for it, went to rent it, was completely tickled by it. I still quote it to this day. I'm not wearing it right now, but I have a T-shirt with the pomade, Dapper Dan.
Oh, I'm a Dapper Dan man.
Yeah. I don't want no fuck, goddammit.
Oddity.
Yeah.
2 weeks from everywhere. They write amazing dialogue.
Oh, yeah.
They do write incredible dialogue.
I went to watch other property by the Coen brothers because, of course, I was tickled. I wanted to see what else can they do. It was when I was just getting into other directors and stuff like that. So I got to Fargo, something that I'd heard of when it won Oscars, but I thought, this seems weird. It's probably not for me. And then I finally watched it and I thought, this is so for me. This is insane. And of course, very quickly, I went and bought the Big Lebowski on DVD. It's right here.
Nice.
And naturally, I really responded to it. And I thought it was great and hilarious. And I watched it and I watched it and I watched it. And I watched it about, I think, 10 times in a month. Wow. Something like that. And then I introduced it to a friend of mine. And that was the big mistake. That was hoisted by my own petard. Because every time he came over, he said, shall we watch The Big Lebowski? And I said, okay. And the second time, all right. By the third time, I said, we can maybe watch something else. Maybe Fargo, that's really good too. And he said, no, I want to watch The Big Lebowski. Okay. And so after 5 times of that, and then that was just very short time after I'd first seen it, I think, I was already pretty sick of it.
Yeah,
it was just overexposure. I think it's one that you can rewatch loads and loads of time. And I have to be honest, when I rewatch it this time, I went into it again reluctantly because I always do. But by minute 6, when Bob Dylan kicks in,
the soundtrack.
I'm there again. So I have to be honest about that as well. But I thought, well, my own personal gripe with this movie gives me an excuse to talk to you about it, another fan, and I don't have to go and look for someone who hates it. So this is cool. This is fine. Let's do this.
I can totally understand because when it hit home video or DVD, I watched it a lot. And I have taken big spells off not watching it. Like I've even digested stuff about it, like, you know, Jeff Bridges' photography book of being on set, and there's been a couple of documentaries about the fandom. But I've actually taken big gaps away from watching the movie because I do get it because it's long, it's funny. But it is a long movie and you kind of have to watch to the end.
Yeah, but it's also very inspiring just the way it's sometimes it's just really screwball comedy or sometimes even sort of slapsticky and stuff like that. They know their old stuff. They know from which sources they are pulling, only they're using it to create like the 90s now or whatever. And it's so well done, but it's also kind of simple, easy jokes that sometimes even Groucho Marx could have made. Like dropping the guy drops a bowling ball, says, "What's this?" And the dude just retorts, "Obviously, you're not a golfer."
Yeah, I mean that's what I like about it.
Yeah,
I like that drive because that's probably you're right. Probably the likes of the Marx Brothers is probably the only comedies the dude watches because they're free and on TV. And again, it's I just can't see him. Like he maybe went to an open mic night once by accident to buy weed off someone, but he probably, as we see in the film, his idea of chilling out is sitting listening to bowling alley classics.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey, careful, man. There's a beverage here.
It's also, we got to talk about it. It is a gorgeous looking film.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it's beautiful.
Even on DVD, we're sort of just grainy and a bit fuzzy and very television-y because it has that low resolution. You still see the majesty of the shots by Roger Deakins. What
an incredible film in terms of its look.
Yeah.
And again, it all dials into the vibe.
Oh, yeah.
So then the characters themselves are so absurd. They're kind of recognizable. I think you're meant to be the dude, like, because I'm always trying. Who do you identify with most in this journey? And I think you're meant to be the dude. But the brilliant thing about the dude is he's not really the hero of the piece if you break it down.
He doesn't really do anything. Everything just happens to him.
Yeah.
And that is sort of the way it goes in lots of noir movies. The people
Certainly.
in that don't have control, but he's someone who doesn't even seem to want any control.
Yeah, you've nailed it. He would have rather not been involved.
Yeah.
At all. Like, it's the butterfly effect, isn't it? If someone didn't come into his house mistaking him to be the other Lebowski, this would have never have happened.
And everyone just comes and wrecks his house and his car. His life is just demolished by just absurdity, by randomness.
Yes. I do love it after he has his prostate examination. Or he has his examination to see if he's a fertile father, that he feels a little uplifted and accidentally drops his joint in his lap, and then out of nowhere has a car crash. And he's just, this guy just has no luck. Even meeting the fascist police chief as well is just, he's so absurdly, the police chief is such a dick. I mean, it's such a dick.
Oh yeah.
And then he's in the cab, and the guy, he doesn't want to listen to the Eagles, just having a bad night. And it just so happens that it's that one cab driver's absolute favorite, and kicks him out the side of the motorway. I love that everyone's had a day like that. And I guess we're just having a snapshot of the dude's day.
And I just love that the dude is like this character that you can't imagine hate anything, and then he hates the Eagles.
He hates the Eagles, man. He hates the fucking Eagles. Get out of the cab. So it's like his one thing. There's like two parallel worlds going on. There's this absurd world, which is our novella, if you like, is our noir world. And then this real ridiculous world, like we were talking about actors that we see, and we always go, oh, it's him. Yeah. His landlord, Marty.
Yeah.
Does a dance recital.
Yeah, which is one of my favorite scenes, just that happening, and him just doing really dancing in a community theater type deal, like with the awkward stances, and he puts one foot awkwardly on his chair. But
I love that. Like, I almost want to see the film about him, because why is he doing it? He must have practiced. Where he put this together. He booked the theater. There are other people in the theater that have paid money to come and see him. Who are they?
The Coens seem to have just two types of casting in their movies, and one is really character actors, people who can embody a really strange sort of weird type of character, and then there are the bit parts for which they mostly just get people with weird faces who are actors. They have shots around and they just think, that's a face that people are going to remember. And Marty is one of those people. He's become a that guy because of this movie. And there are a couple more of those guys in here who sort of operate like that, who you'll never see. And like the guy who plays Smokey, like Toes Over the Lane, the guy with the long hair, the bowler.
Oh, yeah.
You'll never see him anywhere else. But because he's in this, he's going to be recognized for the rest of his life.
So, some of them I suspect are not actors. Some of the, like Smokey, like there's one or two that I go, were these just guys that were cutting around the place and you went, I've got to put you in my movie?
Yeah,
were these
maybe.
just bowlers? Like the fellow that plays Seamus, who's Jesus or Jesus or whatever way you want to go about it, his partner, he's just a little stocky. It was just a bowler.
He looks just like an ordinary bowler, but he's so much just trying to tap from the cool that Jesus is protruding, and he just stands there next to him. That's like when you have a bully, the guy standing next to it going, yeah, like that vibe with his stupid little mustache and
and the square and that haircut that you're only meant to have in the military, but for some reason there's an era of America where they just have this square head thing going on. I don't know. If there's any American listeners, like, by all means, feel free to come in. And two long-haired hippies like me and Ruud here, like, I appreciate what you're saying, but when it comes to style, I think we're winning. That's all.
Yeah. So you said that you are an ordained Dudeist minister.
I am. When I got my certificate from the internet. I would like, it cost me $8. It is around somewhere. But yeah. So I got my, it doesn't mean anything. It doesn't I don't think I could do a wedding. Let's put it that way. I don't think I could do a wedding or a funeral or a birth or any of these things. Hey, but if anyone wants to try, I'm more than happy.
You'll throw ashes into someone's face if they want to.
I think it came about because the film itself has become a huge cult following. I think I saw it on the internet and I was just like, oh, that'll be fun to do. And you pay $8 and they send you a little certificate. So it's just a scam. It's just a pyramid Ponzi scam or something. And they got my $8 hook, line and sinker.
You're not part of the pack of what's the name again? The little Lebowski Urban Achievers. Well,
I did have a little Lebowski Urban Achievers badge at one point, but I'm not. Sad to say, a little Lebowski Urban Achievers, and very proud we are of all of them. Yeah. I love. You were talking about characters in the film. Yeah. Philip Seymour Hoffman's character is so underappreciated, and it was the first time I'd really seen Philip Seymour Hoffman in anything that I was aware of. He was in Twister.
Yeah.
He wasn't Twister.
I've seen Twister, but before that.
Which I've got a little bonus fact. This is actually a prop from the Twister set.
Is it?
Which just happened to be sitting there. It's a fake Coke bottle.
Yeah.
That's it. There was a crate of them, and I bought one. So
made by Dutch,
someone out there.
Yeah. Made by Dutch director and cameraman Jan de Bond.
Probably the only good thing he'd do it. He probably the only good thing. Well, that's unfair in Hollywood. No, hang on. Let me think.
Jan de Bond, he also did Speed.
Yes, which is great, actually.
Yeah. And afterwards he did The Haunting, which was less so, and then he did the second Lara Croft Tomb Raider movie.
Oh, so he did. I remember because he seemed like to fall out of favor a little bit.
Yeah.
But Philip Seymour Hoffman is fantastic in this film.
Oh yeah.
As I love the fact that he manages to get frustration, entitlement, probably sexual frustration as well, because you get a feeling that these,
especially with Bunny
Lebowski,
yeah,
and I'll suck your cock for $4,000, which Easter egg. If there's anyone that's ever seen me do stand up, I have a joke that I would sell at a moment's notice. I would suck someone's dick for $4,000. Which I'll call that, which is just an Easter egg to Bunny Lebowski. So if there's a cash machine nearby, we can make things.
Do you also throw in like, Brand can watch, but he has to pay $100?
Do you know I never have? And now I'm thinking of it. Maybe it's time you pay it. You're thinking what? It'll cost him $100. And the thing is, Philip Seymour Hoffman in that scene by the pool lets out this laugh, which is embarrassment.
Yeah.
But you can't really read it like. If this had happened, I don't think he would have been offended. That's it. I think
he's also just happy to be there. I get that vibe from him as well. So
well, I mean, I do have 100 on me. But he is fantastic in this film.
Oh, yeah.
We see Jeff Lebowski's assistant. I'm not exactly sure what his official title is.
So I think he's like a secretary.
You said about this with character actors. I mean, we got David Thewlis in there as an amazing cameo at one point as well.
Do you say Thewlis? Yeah, not Thewlis.
Well, it depends. It's either he's. I think it's Welsh pronunciation. So there's Thewlis or Thewlis, depending on who it's. I would say Thewlis because he's in Harry Potter movies as well.
Yeah.
But he's a fantastic actor. He's
Yeah,
a
yeah,
fantastic
yeah,
actor. And just pops up for one scene.
Yeah. Also one who just keeps laughing.
I love that if you've ever worked in any type of creative industry, any type of like everyone knows that guy.
Yeah.
Everyone has met that guy at a party. Like you don't even know. I think he does do something. He's like a video artist or something. He's described.
Knox Harrington, a video artist.
This is hipster before hipster.
Yeah, most def.
You know,
sitting there ironically
and that's the kind of world they dial into.
Yeah,
exactly. Even sorry, I've realised we're bouncing about. I'm just going through my favourite actors in this movie. Of course, Maud Lebowski is a phenomenon. Probably one of the most surreal movie introductions ever. Is flying over someone's head naked, flicking paint as she goes on a zip line.
You sort of see her 2 times before that, but then she's still just a mysterious figure. First just standing there in a jacket when Lebowski's thumbed, and then in his dream.
Oh yes, of course.
Just the first one where she's first on a flying carpet, and then after that, you when he's inside the big bowling ball and it's rolling away, you see her standing there. She's rolled the ball.
Oh.
Oh, yeah.
There she is.
Oh, full Valkyrie retirement.
Well, I don't know what you want me to say, but it is a look. Let's put it that way. It's a look I'm quite fond of in the film. So we can move on from that.
It makes your gutter balls happy.
Yeah, oh yes, very much so. But no, it's loaded with amazing actors that even guys that have got very limited screen time just make the most of. Even Jackie Treehorn.
Yeah, Van Gazzara.
I don't know. He's just so smooth.
Yeah.
And I think that's what I kind of like, because the actors themselves kind of make you feel how the dude would feel. Like Jackie Treehorn is so smooth and relaxing and reassuring that you kind of like go, oh, this guy can't be a bad guy. Or you're almost like, this guy's got to be a bad guy.
The thing that I like most this time when I was watching the scene, well, because you have the scene where they're doing the North by Northwest bit where he's calling someone, he's scribbling something down. Dude sees him scribbling. Guy takes the paper, walks out of the room, and then the dude walks up, starts doing the pencil trick, and he just sees a drawing of a man with a huge cock. Yeah. And that is the best joke in itself. That's so good. But something that I hadn't noticed before, but I saw it when I was watching this time. The face that Ben Gazzara makes when he takes the scribbled paper. He's so happy with himself, puts the thing away, and walks out just so smiling and happy, as if he's anticipating the joke or something like that. But it just adds another layer to it, which is amazing.
So there's lots going on there. Yeah. So he's taking a phone call, and while he's taking that phone call, he's just happily drawing a guy with a huge dick. He's also thinking, I've done a great drawing, so I'll clear that. But he's also kind of thinking, I'm going to walk out this room, and he's going to check what I've drawn.
I'm so proud of this, I'm going to take it with me.
And I'm going to take it with me just to see what happens. So he is 10 steps ahead of everyone.
If she can stand it, I can. Play it.
And Donnie, we don't even know what Donnie does. He's probably the only person in this movie who is probably truly innocent in his own way, because he just likes going bowling with his friends on a Tuesday night or whatever it is.
Yeah, every night, probably. When Buscemi was reading the script, he thought, I don't want to play this guy. Why would I want to play this guy? Everyone is just being mean to him. I just don't understand it. And then he read the last scene where the nihilists show up and Walter stands in front of him, sort of protecting him. And I thought, oh, so that's why he hangs with these guys, because they're buddies. That's also kind of sweet.
And they are really insecure about what I love about Walter, John Goodman's character. We have to talk about staple of the Coen brothers movies, going all the way back to Raising Arizona, actually.
Yeah.
is he is so insecure about himself. He has been some type of veteran, we think. He's definitely been involved with the army, but it's kind of hinted at that it wasn't really a career in the army.
He keeps spouting shit about Vietnam, but if he really was that much in the shit. So he's basically based off of two filmmakers who've been around.
Is that
Hollywood.
Joel Silver, I think?
Mostly, I thought was the attitude of Walter Hill and the appearance of John Milius.
John Milius, that's who I was thinking. The director of Conan the Barbarian?
Yeah.
Yes. Because I think I listened to the commentary track on Conan the Barbarian. I'm that guy. I miss commentary. I miss commentary tracks. I just.
So now you provide your own.
Well, that's where we provide our own, and as do you in our hit show, Watch Bad Movies with Dutch Comedians. Watch Bad Dutch Movies with Dutch Comedians. We can do that. But I love Walter in this movie because. I think he is so fragile and actually puts on this display. Like you hear about, he's clearly still head over heels with his wife. Yeah. His ex-wife looks after the dog. Still pretends to be Jewish. Doesn't pretend to be Jewish. He figures. He may have converted at one point.
Yeah.
And he even talks about. I can't remember. He says, my wife's away with Marty such and such, who is clearly her new husband.
Yeah.
But he refers to it like it's a business colleague. This is just someone that's in our lives.
They've gone off to Hawaii.
They're off to Hawaii. Yeah. And so he's got to carry that little dog around, which is hilarious on its own. But then with the first time there's any sign of violence, any time of anything going down, he completely buckles. He's like, whoa. Yeah. He's just a hothead, which again is a little snapshot of. I'm sure there is. I mean, we don't live in I don't live in America, but I've heard from plenty of people these seas of veterans who kind of recount what they did and what actually happened, and they're kind of different. And John Goodman is fantastic in this film. Steals every scene he's in. But we were talking about him being mean to Donnie. Yeah. And it's a line that's almost missed. But I do love it. It's when they're talking about Lennon, Donnie thinks they're talking about John Lennon.
Yeah, I'm the walrus.
I am the walrus.
I'm the walrus.
And at one point, mid-sentence...
I am the walrus. Sorry.
He turns around and goes, life does not stop and start at your convenience, you miserable piece of shit. And he keeps going. And Donnie's just be like, whoa. It comes out of nowhere. And is never even acknowledged. Yeah. Just the fact that he heard Donnie was talking for a second. And I just love it. I love it.
Do you know the Donnie theory?
Oh, now... I've heard the one that Donnie. I've heard several. What's the one you've heard?
The one I've heard is that people think that he might be an old war buddy of Walter.
Yeah, he's not there.
Who's died, and he's not really there because the dude only sort of acknowledges him one time at the start of the movie, and then he just doesn't pay any attention to him anymore.
Which I find weird because they if they had never acknowledged him, and he hadn't died at the end, and they hadn't been man down heart attack.
Yeah.
It would have worked if there wasn't a funeral and they get the coffee box and it would have been a great extra layer to it.
It's a nice thought, but it's not as good as the one from Ferris Bueller's Day Off, where they think someone thought of that one like it could be like a Fight Club type situation that Ferris Bueller doesn't exist, but only in the head of what's his face, his friend,
the headmaster?
No, his friend.
Yes.
Alan Ruck.
Alan. What's that actor's name?
Ruck.
He's in Succession just now.
Oh yeah, and in Spin City.
There's another Twister actor for you as well.
Yeah, exactly. Wow.
Twister.
Well, I've also thought was interesting that Philip Seymour Hoffman and Julianne Moore were both in Boogie Nights a year before or something like that. It's from 1997. This is 1998. And then in, 2000, they both pop up in Magnolia together.
Yeah, which is a great film.
Yeah. And Amy Mann, who has a very small bit part in The Big Lebowski, her song is sung by all the characters in Magnolia. So another tie into this weird little universe.
It is a little glimpse of Hollywood's premier elite, even though you could argue at this point that none of those actors are heavy hitters necessarily.
No. Not yet.
None of them are. Julianne Moore probably gets our biggest role, maybe like a couple of years later when she's in Hannibal.
Yeah, that's probably the one where she got most noticed by everyone. She'd done a couple of very good things,
I mean, she's a fantastic actress. Great comic timing as well, because I actually saw her in an Ivan Reitman movie called Evolution.
Oh yeah,
which is actually really funny.
Yeah,
it goes way under the radar. It's fine. But what he did was he accidentally remade Ghostbusters as an alien movie, but without the same cast. And it was like, nah, you probably shouldn't have bothered.
Maud is also the only character in The Big Lebowski who actually talks as if she's in sort of like a character, like a noir character, like she's in a screwball movie.
Yes. I get the feeling Maud has been probably like that. She's kind of like Wednesday Addams. You know, she's been like that since she was 3. You know, this is I get the feeling that Jeff Lebowski, she probably got raised by a nanny.
Yeah.
European nanny, I'm willing to bet as well. It probably just went or a private school. I think there's been a rebellion at some point.
Yeah.
And
at some point, very early on, she found out that she was smarter than everyone else.
Everyone else.
Yeah.
Everyone else. Or and I can never tell though. I can never tell if people do actually like her art. I can never tell because her father is very wealthy.
Yeah.
He clearly pays for aspects of her life, or has done.
Well, her mother has, because her father doesn't get any money.
But is her art any good? I'm not sure. I'm not sure if she's kind of bluffing her way. Ironically, like her dad is, because at the end of the day, it becomes revealed that he's not a particular businessman and he's quite good. And
we let him run the company's months, but he didn't do it.
Yeah. That's right. I think we gave him something to run and he just ran it into the ground. And this is him trying to get.
So we let him handle the charity work,
which again he's made a complete nightmare of.
Yeah.
It's. I mean, there is the and it kind of tells because there's the mirror in his office of Man of the Year.
Yeah.
And Time Magazine Man of the Year.
Yeah.
Are you an urban achiever?
I would love to have a mirror like that. If I would have one prop from the movie, that would probably be it.
Wow, what question. What prop would I have? Ooh, what a question.
This is one with a lot of good props, though.
Yeah, there's so much. Could I have the whole bowling? I don't even really like bowling, but I wouldn't mind the whole bowling alley. That's such a good question.
I would have figured you for a tow guy.
Oh, a tow guy. I mean,
I can get a tow.
I can carry it around. Probably make it into a key ring. Why have they never done that? Why have they never done the Big Lebowski tow key ring? I think that's probably that'd be the gift everyone would want.
I'm Brian, and so is this podcast.
I even love when he gets interviewed by the police officers. We're talking about those character actors. Yeah, he's trying to break down. I've got my suitcase with it. Like this is something when he has his car stolen.
Yeah.
And they're trying to get some information about him. And the thing that always gets me about these two police officers coming to his house is his house must stink of weed.
Yeah.
Like it must stink. So they go, this guy's a bum and a loser. We're just going to fill in this report, get out there. One of the policemen has been there, tried it. The other one is unbelievably keen.
Yeah.
Wants to get this right. But I love that because of the people, and it is actually a great allegory for how people put on this facade, like we put on a phone voice and we do stuff like that. The dude can't help himself going, there was a briefcase with my
papers.
With papers. It's like,
what kind of
papers?
Are you
employed, sir? No. I love that. And at the end of the day, it just turns out to be a massive swindle because the briefcase they thought they were dropping off with money. Her life was in your hands.
Yeah.
Her life was in your hands, Mr. Lebowski.
I think the Jeff Lebowski does overplay his cards well there. Like being
Yes.
angry at the dude.
I mean, when you think about it, he has, I guess, effectively, he's putting a lot of effort into this con.
Yeah.
You know, he's putting a lot. I mean, where does Brian, where does he factor? Does he know? Is he getting some cash? Does he even know?
I have no idea. Maybe not.
But he's playing his part. We've been urgently trying to get a hold of you, dude.
Yeah.
And like you say, he really does overplay his cards on this one.
Yeah.
And does he nearly get away with it?
Well, he would have given the speech anyway. So he probably has rehearsed it.
Yeah, you're right.
Because he doesn't know
Probably
that they gave out their own ringer. So he just thinks it's his briefcase that they gave with fake money.
Yeah, I think
so
you're right.
he still gives that speech. But then in the end, he does get his comeuppance when Walter picks him out of his wheelchair. But that's the thing with Walter, where he's such an amazing character, right? At some point, he's saying stuff which is ridiculous stuff. You don't believe it in the scene, like, I can get a toe. It's obviously a fake and stuff like that. But he is right. He is absolutely right there. They got another toe from Amy Mann.
Yeah. Oh, you're right. He does say.
But even when he's right, he's still so fucking wrong. It's amazing. That's the great thing about his character. So that makes the payoff when he's picking up the other Lebowski out of his wheelchair. Like, I've seen paraplegics in my life, and this dude is faking. I've never been more sure of anything in my life. And gets him out until
he looks so embarrassed.
Yeah. And he falls on the floor just sobbing, and he's crying, and then he's mean to a dog to put even more like he's a very terrible guy, and he got what he deserved.
He's still an asshole. So get away, this tiny little dog. But then again, I guess he's been revealed as a fraud.
Yeah.
He's been revealed as a fraud. He's been revealed as having no money, have effectively committed a crime as well, I would imagine, organised. How would you... The thing that always gets me is, how did this all get explained to the police?
In the end.
Yeah, how was it? Did it even go to the police, or did this all just go away? Well, I guess the nihilists tried to kill them. So.
Yeah, they're probably in jail, but it could very much be like the ending of Burn After Reading, where you get the people inside the CIA evaluating everything that happened and then just going, let's pretend this all never happened.
They talked about making a sequel to this. Like, it got rattled around for a long time, and I'm glad they never did. I never should.
I thought I'm not sure if the Coens did themselves or someone else did, but at some point it got put out as sort of an April Fool's joke that a sequel was in the works, where Jeff Lebowski was trying to save the political career of his now son, young Jeffrey Lebowski Jr., something like that, and that was going to be the new movie. And then Tara Reid, who hasn't really been in anything since this except for American Pie sequels, she said in an interview, they're finally making it. So that gave credence to the joke. But very quickly, people found out they're not making it. She was talking shit.
She just hoped they were.
Yeah,
she just hoped they were. Like, they were going to bring back Bunny Lebowski or something.
For no reason.
So I know that obviously John Turturro made his follow-up where we track Jesus or Jesus
Quintana. I've seen it. I watched it a couple of days ago, just in preparation for this, because I also I wanted to know what it was.
It's fine. It's just unnecessary. Some characters don't need fleshed out in that way.
Exactly.
Do you know? See, if they'd have done a short or something, like a little short, or I wish they would bring back shorts for movies. I really, really would. If they'd done it as a short, I would have liked it. But it just didn't. It felt like it was in a completely different universe for a start.
It's a completely different type of movie. In The Big Lebowski, he's just there for two scenes. One at the very end, and the one at the very end doesn't even get really referenced anymore in the Jesus roles, because all in the Jesus roles he does spout out catchphrases that are from The Big Lebowski. but they're just a couple of lines and they just get repeated and repeated and repeated. I don't know how many times that, yeah, you don't fuck with the Jesus, and his mother says, yeah, you don't fuck with the Jesus as well, and other people say it in the Jesus roles, but it just gets repeated. But I think there's more depth in that first scene of Jesus Quintana, where you also get the flashback of where he has to ring doorbells and tell people
That's
he's
true.
a pederast.
Yeah.
Then you get in the entire second movie.
Yeah, we never find out the genuine backstory as well, which I think is what makes that so. I mean, I'm not excusing anything he's done. I'm not excusing anything, but we don't know what this is. Was he like a bus driver? Was it an accident? Has he actually done something? What is the story? I didn't hate the film. I just found myself going like, this is fine, but the reason I'm here is because of the Big Lebowski.
Yeah.
And this is not even the same character. It kind of feels like an impression. We just didn't need it. We just didn't need it.
He also sounds,
you know,
he's older and he just sounds different because his voice has become a bit like more raspy. No, not raspy, but just softer in a way.
Yeah.
So he has a sort of a sharpness to him in the Big Lebowski, which is gone by the time he does the Jesus roles.
Yeah, and I'm sure that the actor, I'm sure John had the ability to do it if he'd really wanted, but clearly he wanted to make a different film. And it's like I wouldn't want to see a Walter movie.
No.
I wouldn't want to see a Brian movie. I wouldn't want to see, realistically, the only other one I might have liked is a Jeff Lebowski movie in that universe. But he's been nearly 20. I mean, he's been a long time.
Yeah.
We kind of don't need to see that film again.
No, it was fine when John Goodman got his star on the Walk of Fame that Jeff Bridges showed up as Lebowski and did a speech.
Yeah.
That was more fulfilling than the Jesus role.
Yeah.
But
even when he did Super Bowl ad.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I did. I don't even know that.
Oh, he did it. He did a Super Bowl ad as the dude. And at one point they were teasing and a whole bunch of people went, oh my God, is this the announcement of the sequel? And it was at a time that obviously, I don't know if the Coen brothers had came back, maybe with the right story, but even then it just, as much as I would like to see it, I know I don't want to see it as well.
Yeah.
But it ended up being for, I think it was for gin or whiskey or something, or vodka or something. But it was nice to see him as the Lebowski, but I think that's as far as we need to go.
Sometimes if you feel like you haven't gotten enough, you got exactly what you needed.
I think that's a great way. And that this film is a perfect statement of that.
The Big Lebowski is like sort of a pastiche of noir movies, and the sequel sort of spin-off, the Jesus Rolls. It's also a remake of a French movie, Les Valseuses, with Gérard Depardieu from the 70s, one of the very first movies of another actress, Isabelle Huppert. She has a very small part in that as well. It's 2.5 hours long. They condensed it to 1.5 hours, and they put Jesus Quintana in there. So it's a remake of a French art movie now. And it's sort of aimless because of that. Because, well, it's probably the first movie probably was about aimlessness, and that was the theme of it. Only you don't get that in a new one. It's just characters having weird little interactions, and then suddenly it stops.
I like that. I call those vibe movies, and vibe movies there's a lot to be said for that. If you can just get soaked up in that world, it's why we watch films. It's to suspend our disbelief. It's to drink that up, to get involved with the characters. And hey, listen, it's nice if you're invested in the story, but this isn't an action movie. This could have stopped dead at any point. If Jeff Lebowski had just went, fuck it, the movie stops.
Yeah.
The movie stops dead.
But he goes, fuck it all the time.
Well, he does go fuck it.
Then they go bowling point. And then nihilists show up on the parking lot and stuff like that. So
if he'd have just... so there's times where he keeps jumping out. The character just keeps going, no, I'm going to go. He goes bowling consistently through the entire film, which you would never get in a Die Hard movie. You would never get John McClane going, I'm just going to go and play squash, or I'm going to go to the gym and work out if that's okay. And then we can get back after the terrorists. Okay, I need to get my cardio in. I've got my personal trainer. Okay, I just need to check my macros. And away he goes. So
One of the interesting things I also enjoy about The Big Lebowski is that it's edited by Roderick James.
Yes.
You know him?
I don't think I know a lot of his work. I know the Coens favored editors that could give different paces and different kind of flavors to their films.
They edited themselves. Roderick James is a pseudonym they use because they edited themselves, and it's like a guild thing. So at some point, it was for Fargo. Roderick James was nominated for an Oscar. And
it's a SAG thing, isn't it? It's
yeah.
like you can't be nominated.
I think it's Directors Guild or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, so, you can't be nominated, or you're not allowed to cut so much.
No.
Fact check Norris.
Fact check Norris here. Ruud and Billy are quite close to what really happened, but just let me fill in some gaps. The Coens thought up the alias of Roderick James because they figured when they were making Blood Simple, we already have enough credits to our name. Then they made a couple of movies in which they let other people do the editing, and then they brought Roderick James back. It wasn't a guild thing, but they definitely had some fun with it. There was, however, a reason that they didn't share credit as directors and as producers, because of the Directors Guild of America, which doesn't let you have that unless you're an established directing duo. So, right up until Intolerable Cruelty in 2003, Joel was credited as director and Ethan as producer. Fact check Norris out. So they had someone on standby to play Roderick James, and that was Albert Finney in a wig.
No way!
Yeah.
I didn't realize he'd actually gone to the trouble of getting. Well, it does make sense, I guess.
Oh, yeah.
If someone turns up and you've this guy here, that's so funny. I wonder if they had won, what would it, I mean, Albert Finney, a fantastic actor.
Oh yeah.
But just imagine the look of utter horror on his face as he's going to stand up in front of all these people, and they go,
I think
"That's clearly Albert Finney in a wig."
I think he'd be fine with it. Do you know that he played a second role in Miller's Crossing?
Did he?
Oh yeah, he was so happy to be there that he wanted to stay on set after his scenes were filmed. So they put him in a woman's wig and in a dress, and so there's this scene when Tom is storming through his boss's bar, and he bursts through a door, and people go to the side in anguish, and one of them is Albert Finney in a dress. Once you know which shot that is, you see it every time. It's such a
I'll have to go
lovely
check.
little detail.
No, I'll have to go check. Albert Finney is a fantastic actor.
Oh yeah.
Sadly, because he effectively got so ill, kept such ill health in later years. But it'd be nice to see him. His back catalogue is worth checking out. That's what I'm saying. His back catalogue is worth checking out.
The Autobahn record is also one of those visual things that I always enjoy. Like Flea standing there from the Red Hot Chili Peppers fame, dressed as a German techno.
The album was I bought the album not long after the film came out. This was at a point where it was a lot easier you had to go and buy a CD of a movie soundtrack.
I mean, like Kraftwerk.
Yes, and the album itself is fantastic. The Gypsy Kings covering the Eagles Hotel California is fantastic.
Oh yeah,
is iconic. It's still iconic, actually. I'd say to this day.
Mm-hmm.
But the album itself is fantastic. And this was at a time where obviously Quentin Tarantino was bringing a lot of using. Rather than scores, was bringing popular or even lesser popular, and I think it really opened up because the Coen brothers hadn't used the whole soundtrack is littered with just the most bizarre and eclectic music you could probably get. It's almost like they were trying to out Quentin Tarantino, but it was interesting because I saw an interview with Edgar Wright, and he said that it was those films that inspired him. To start bringing, his musical tastes. His musical taste, which would later be a huge thing in likes of Spaced and his movies.
I think if Tarantino and the Coens hadn't done it by this time, I don't think that Wes Anderson would have done it the way he did. Maybe. No. I think I don't think he would have got carte blanche to have done it. I think they would have been.
I mean, it's a very different world, isn't it? It's
And it's kind of-
what a butterfly effect. What a butterfly effect.
Yeah.
To think about if those directors hadn't done it and rose to promise,
Yeah.
that someone like Wes Anderson would have even got the time.
And
to
he
do it.
isn't even that far after them. I think Rushmore's 1998, so his first movie, Bottle Rocket, I think is 96.
Yeah, so it's all about the same time, really.
Yeah.
I wonder if there was just a change in how films got made. I mean, certainly, I always get the two confused. Paul Thomas Anderson, is that? Because there's Paul Anderson and there's Paul Thomas Anderson.
Paul W.S. Anderson. Paul Thomas Anderson
Yes.
was Boogie Nights and Licorice Pizza.
I always want to get the right one. I don't want the other one that did
Event Horizon and
Event Horizon is a great film.
I didn't like.
I like Event Horizon.
Okay.
I like Event Horizon. I like how it looks. I like the world that it's in.
I'm a big fan of Sam Neill, but I still felt, I've already seen The Shining. Thank you very much.
Yeah. We're not breaking new grip, but I like the world.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, it's a film. Do you have films that you rewatch almost as if you're expecting them to suddenly get better? Yeah, it doesn't really make any sense to do it. I mean, you kind of like it, but you appreciate it. It's not really that good. But I forget how we go to that. But the music is a huge part of the Big Lebowski.
Oh, yeah.
And it's become a big part of the Coen brothers, certainly. I mean, we talked about Oh Brother with Art now, which goes in a completely different direction.
Suddenly you have
but,
bluegrass and they just gets artists in to record new versions of old classics and stuff like that.
And I would have never thought I'd have myself, tapping my foot to Constant Sorrow.
Which I have the album. Listen to it incessantly.
So do I. I've even found out it was on Spotify. I didn't even think, but it's all on Spotify.
Oh, yeah.
Which must be weird for people that have never seen the film and they hear that banging out my headphones when I'm carrying around the place.
And then they made Inside Llewyn Davis, and now my girlfriend has started playing Murder Ballads because of Hang Me, because she liked that song so much. So I bought a very cheerful ukulele with like a flower print on it, so she can play Murder Ballads on a ukulele.
On our ukulele.
Yeah.
That is a show that I want to see.
Do I have any? Oh, there's one thing that I do have to talk about that we haven't touched on yet, but
Sure.
I just need to name him because he is a real hero of mine. The guy who always plays the small parts, but I always love him wherever I see him, and that's John Palito, who plays the Fino.
Yes.
Brother Seamus with his tiny little mustache.
Yeah. I mean, he's another scene stealer. I mean, he's amazing comic timing. Like, I've seen him play quite serious, thuggish roles. Mm-hmm. But in this, he is adorable and hilarious and is probably an archetype Coen brothers character. I loved him. Yeah. And The Man Who Wasn't There. Have I got
Yeah. The Man Who Wasn't There.
Because there is that hilarious bit where they do the bit of business and he's on a bed and he gives them a slight wink.
Yeah.
And Billy Bob Thornton, they both play the scene fantastically well. Yeah. Just like, did you just wink? Are you coming on at me? Yeah. And it's like, I don't know. You are way out of line. It's just the comic timing and that whole scene. But in this, I'm a brother Seamus like you, and I even love that scene because it's never occurred to the dude at that moment that he is on a detective adventure. Yeah. And it probably hasn't really occurred to us.
No, exactly.
It's like, this guy thinks he's solving a crime? What on earth?
He's actually the first one who tells us actually he's like Philip Marlowe, but you haven't seen it.
Yeah, exactly.
He's the one who breaks the fourth wall, really, if you want to call it that. But I was in this podcast where we ranked the Coen Brothers movie, which is a silly thing to do. And I deliberately kept the Big Lebowski out of my top 10 for obvious reasons,
That's fair. That's fair.
Also because I want to do interesting podcasting. And it's interesting not to name it in your top 10. No one in their right mind does it, so I'm going to do it. And but I also made another point in that, because you have the three films which started their career, the Coen Brothers, all three filmed by Barry Sonnenfeld, who went on to direct himself. but they are Blood Simple, which is a new noir, like a noir movie, but in set in the 80s. Then they do a full-on comedy, because from the darkness they felt, let's go entirely the other way. Let's make a comedy. So that you get Raising Arizona, which is also basically a perfect comedy and a staple and a classic and great. And then for the first time they sort of put it together, and then you have Miller's Crossing, which starts with a speech by John Palito about getting the hi-hat and stuff like that. Ethics. It's ethics. And he's being put there as a really silly character. From the start, you're meant not to take him seriously. And then about halfway through the movie, he turns dark. So he's the first real Coens character you see on screen and gets the both sides of that medal, both sides of what the Coens are capable of, and both of the bits where they're great at, and that's John Palito. And I just want to say it again.
It's a testament to the actor as well, and it's a testament to the Coen brothers observing, reality amongst the absurd, that someone can be considered to be this, buffoon, for lack of a phrase, but also has a dark and serious side, as everyone does. Do you know what I mean? A clown has his makeup on, but eventually takes it off, and he's a completely different person. And that's kind of like what John does in his roles. And hey, look, what diversity as an actor. I've always enjoyed him in comedic roles, I will have to admit, because he just brings such incredible energy to it. It's and the commitment, the fact that he's so willing to make himself look ridiculous. Like just even by being like, he walks in the room, the suit's always a little too tight. The wig and the man who wasn't there is just it's just ridiculous. Even in this, he's in a tiny little Volkswagen car, which is clearly too small for him.
And he's looking for the daughter of the Knutsons, and
the Knuts. Oh yes, was the picture. He gets so serious when he talks about his work as well.
And it also seems like sort of a throwback to Taxi Driver, where you also get that Jodie Foster's character is raised on a farm, and after the big vengeance scene, he gets a letter from the parents, which is almost in broken English.
Oh my goodness.
Recited like, thank you so much for saving her, bringing her back to us. But it just feels like that storyline regurgitated in the Big Lebowski.
He wants to be that guy. He wants to be that guy.
Oh man, now I'm sorry that we never got a John Palito performance where he did the mohawk.
He'd have been great as Taxi Driver. He'd have been great.
Improvement Dazio.
Normally what I do in the podcast is, when I give my thumbs down, I try to think of improvements, and I have to get you on board. Like,
okay.
But this is the very first one where I'm just gonna say I'm not gonna bother. I'm just gonna. The only improvement that I can give is to put a sticker on the poster in the cinema or on the DVD. Do not watch this 15 times in a month, because you will not want to watch it too much after that.
I think that is quite a good recommendation. I think that is a good improvement, because you do need to take time away to appreciate it. Like you need to take. I don't know if it's.
And it is a movie that's very easy to live in. Otherwise, I wouldn't have watched it 15 times in a month.
Yeah. And there's an old phrase, it's like, when you love something, you see all its faults.
Yeah.
And I think subconsciously you want to keep loving this movie. Yeah. Like you've no reason not to love it. Yeah. And you're worried that you'll just like never want to watch it again. Yeah. And it becomes an event. You want that first feeling. You want to be back in that world to get that first feeling again of being there in that American supermarket when the dude's buying his milk and Sam Elliott's cat. I love the fact the narrator loses his way. I think it's it's an underrated joke. And well, sometimes there's a man. And there's I've lost my train of thought.
As a narrator who does that. But that's also something that the Coen brothers do, and I've never seen anywhere else, where sort of the narrator becomes part of the story. They did like a dry run of that in the Hudsucker Proxy with the janitor in the building, who then throws a spanner into the works. So when Tim Robbins is jumping off the building, he just freezes in time so he can land safely. The narrator being actually part of the story, I really enjoy that.
Yeah. I mean, he's not a big character. No. He's not a big character at all. I think he probably...
His awesome moustache does make him a great character, I would say.
Oh my goodness, and the hat.
Oh yeah.
The hat as well, and the sarsaparilla. I only tried sarsaparilla because his character drinks it. It's disgusting.
Never had it.
Don't. That's something that just cowboys drink, and it is disgusting.
I also asked you for 3 movie recommendations for the listeners.
Yes. Now, these are ones that I enjoy. That's where we have to start from, I think. One of them would be...
Tip 1!
It's in the picture behind me as Buckaroo Banzai. Now, what I love is they have tried to reawaken this within pop culture with Ready Player One, and it did not work.
No, it was also because it was already in the book, but no.
Yeah, it did not work, which is a shame, really, because something, there is a generation of people that would love this, and I don't understand why it hasn't made a connection. Buckaroo Banzai is where I discovered that. I had John Lithgow, of course, in it. I had Peter Weller, who I knew was RoboCop, and had seen a Naked Lunch, and and I love the energy of this film. I love the alternative universe aspect of this film, and there's so much I like about it. What does it remind me of? It reminds me of like a kind of Flash Gordon serial that was written by the biggest nerd you know. Like someone somewhere thinks they were Buckaroo Banzai.
Yeah.
Like that is, I'm just going to make him as cool. You know, like when you're a kid and you draw like a car with like rockets on it. And, well, they do. They literally have a car with rockets. And you just, this is what I look like. And this is what, and it feels like that's what it is. And I love it for that respect. Go into it with an open heart. There is times you're going to go, what the hell? So that's one of my recommendations. The other one is a sequel, and I love it for the same reason.
Tip 2
is actually Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2.
Okay.
Now, I'm about to say something that might make you mad. I don't know. But it's my favorite Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie. It could not take a further away turn from the first movie. Now, it's interesting to hear interviews with Toby Hooper, who has frequently referenced that, people missed the comedy in Texas Chainsaw Massacre. and I always find myself going, what are you talking about, you mad bastards? Like, you were either so shit at directing comedy. You know what I mean?
There's stuff in there that I can't imagine turn into comedy if it was handled in a different way, but it's just so nasty.
Yeah, it actually made me go like, maybe Toby Hooper is not the genius either. It is played for laughs, and it's an over-the-top, ridiculous scream fest. I mean, there's a character in it with a metal plate in his head who is Leatherface's brother. So they moved to another part of Texas.
Yeah.
They're chili champions. They have a meat truck, and it's basically taking apart America, Ronald Reagan's America.
Okay.
Is what it is. And there is so much to cover. This is the Thor Ragnarok of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
That's a big
movies.
statement.
It is so out of place. Cool. But I love it for that respect. Like, if you're wanting a good laugh, and you'll see the words Texas Chainsaw Massacre and you go, I know what I'm expecting.
Yeah.
No, you're not.
Tip 3
and I realize I've been quite eclectic with these ones. My third one is Moonrise Kingdom. Which I like for lots of different reasons. One of them being, I have my eldest son Loki is high functioning autism. He's very creative, very funny, more funny, more creative than I'll ever be. But this is the film that bizarrely would just completely chill him out.
Cool.
Completely. And I think it's because it kind of reads like a kid's story. It's probably one of the softest of Wes Anderson's movies. Kids are never treated like kids.
No.
In his movies, like they're never kind of like dispelled as, oh, you're a child. Like this film, you can't have an opinion, you can't have thoughts, you can't have emotions from an adult perspective. And I like the fact that this addresses young love and insecurity and how people can just be unbelievably selfish as well. Hey, look, man, it's been fun. I've loved it. I've absolutely loved it. I don't get an excuse to talk about film that much. So, considering it's such a big thing of mine, you can tell that just by looking around me.
And so we fought and we battled, yes, we beat each other up. Both of us tried hard, we both failed. Yes, I had you by the thumbs, but neither of us won. Only the love for cinema prevailed.
As they say, is that. All right, thank you for listening, and thanks so much to Billy for being so flexible so quickly so we could record this episode. The conversation went all over the place very quickly, but that made it all the more enjoyable. I hope we can meet up sometime in real life, maybe at the Edinburgh Fringe or something like that. We'll see. All right, do I have any film recommendations from the stuff that I saw the past 2 weeks? Yeah, well, of course, that's what I always do. I saw, the day after last episode came out, a lovely little film called The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent. I am a fan of Nicolas Cage and his weirdness, but when I saw the trailer for this movie, I wasn't that impressed immediately. But when I got an invitation to go to the cinema and watch it, I thought, well, why the hell not? Let's have a look at it. And I must say, I was impressed. I didn't know that there was a friendship movie inside of this meta madness. And a lot of why this is good is down to Cage's performance, but I couldn't have imagined a better friend, partner, etc. than Pedro Pascal. So, well done to both of you. Also, this movie is just crazy fun. Another very nice film that I saw is a German film, which stars Dan Stevens, the British actor, called Ich bin dein Mensch, or I'm your man. Stevens is sort of a test model of a love robot, a romantic, sexy android. The main character, Alma, is played, however, by Maren Eggert, and her skepticism towards him is brilliant. She is a perfect foil for his charm, but his charm also comes with the creepiness of the uncanny valley. I don't know how Dan Stevens pulls that off, but he plays it, about 105 minutes long. And to not make these recommendations all about performance, I also saw a documentary, Sisters with Transistors, the type of documentary that I really, really enjoy watching. It's very informative. It's about women who were pioneers in electric music from the 50s up till now, and there are quite a lot of them. And it's not just talking heads with bits of music sprinkled in between. This is a documentary where the storytelling is really enhanced by the way that it's edited. And if you're a resident of Nijmegen, where I live as well, you'll be able to watch it in June when there's a special screening of it at Lux Nijmegen, organized together with the Drift Dance Festival. So again, thanks for listening. You have reached the credits now because this is a cinema production. Presented and edited by me, which is Ruud, the 20e Eeuwse Vos, and with jingles by the genius Roy Grutters. This podcast is also made possible by my patrons, Casey the Great, Martijn van Kolwijk, Edwin Huisman, and the Holy Saint Niels Timmer. Do you want to support us too with a bit of money each month? Please go to patreon.com/duimpjeworstelen. You will also find us on social media, on Twitter, on Facebook and on Instagram, and also on Letterboxd. If you want to share complaints or just general hate for me disliking The Big Lebowski a tiny bit, then you can send those to duimpjeworstelen@gmail.com. A nice little email that will make my evening. All right, thanks again for listening. See you again in 2 weeks. Bye-bye.
Ladies and gentlemen, could we have an enormous round of applause, please, for our host, who has once again succeeded in bringing to us a plethora of top-notch, cinematographically themed entertainment. We have had an absolute ball, have we not? Next time on Thumb Wrestling.
The end, which I believe is insanely good. And I wish it came so much earlier in the film. It's like, I think that's the one scene where I'm like, yes, finally. And then it's over.
This podcast employs a strict only like and subscribe if you really want to policy. Okay, bye.